Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. The opposition alliance doesn't seem to have had quite the effect that it was engineered to have. Let's talk about that. Let's also talk about the different kind of political pressures. Example, whatever Imran Khan has been saying, you know, his language, which has always been consistent. He's been talking against the parliament. He's been talking against politicians. He's been talking against in a sense, democracy, because as a forum, parliament has always been under attack as far as Imran Khan is concerned. And yet, you know, there is this whole debate about him being part of that very parliament, him being, getting allowances from that parliament, drawing benefits from that parliament, his party being very much a part of that same parliamentary process. Yet, we see this continued disrespect, continued, alarming disregard for this as an institution, for the kind of democracy that we want to see functioning in Pakistan. Let's talk about all of that. Let's also talk about the kind of the stage that was shared by PTI, PPP, the PAT also in unprecedented perhaps before, but to what purpose? What was it targeted to achieve? What has it achieved? Has it indeed come down as a failure? And not being able to achieve any of the goals it was targeted to achieve. Let's talk about all of that. I have with me Barrister Danish Iftikhar, who's a political analyst. Thank you for being with us. Zahid Gishkori Sahab, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for joining us. And Liaquat Shawani Sahab, who's a political analyst. Thank you for your time. Barrister Sahab, to start off with you, like I said, this is not new as far as Imran Khan himself is concerned. I mean, we've seen the kind of disrespect he has consistently shown for the parliament as an institution. He's always disregarded it as important. He's always, not participated in the parliamentary process, perhaps the way he should have as being such a major part of the opposition. We've seen him. If we talk about the Kashmir issue, very important issues like Kashmir, for example, he's not come out and been part of a resolution against the atrocities in Kashmir. He hasn't come out, and many other issues. He's just not been, as far as voting is concerned. As a joint parliamentary body, he hasn't been part of that parliament. And the criticism, of course, the language, of course, that's also not new. How do you see this?
Well, I think the strange thing is that the timing of this whole criticism at the parliament, because we are heading towards elections. And if Imran Khan had felt that PTI would be able to form a government in the next coming elections, then what his modus operandi should have been? He should have been praising the parliament, he should have been praising that body, because he would have been able to become the next prime minister through that parliament.
Right.
But I think he perceives that he would not be able to do that. And that is the very reason I think he's criticizing this whole parliament. And this parliament was not criticized when the 17th amendment was passed, when it gave legitimacy to General Musharraf, who was a dictator, and the parliament was made a rubber stamp. When he was a member of that parliament in 2002, he did not say anything about this parliament, the words that he's using now. So that is also a big question mark.
So you think that the reason why he is criticizing the parliament as an institution right now at this point is because he doesn't think that he will get any affirmative, he will not get the votes, or he will not be elected as the next prime minister?
Well, that is what it is, apparently it is, because, as I said, if he had felt that he would be able to become the next prime minister,
certainly he would have enforced more confidence in the parliament as an institution.
And the odd thing is that he's not talking about the elections at all. He's not talking about removing the PMLN from the government and removing them from the parliament and replacing them with his own PTI, stalwarts and other members. And the strange thing is that even the members of parliament who are presently belonging to the PTI, he does not have any control over them. You saw that he criticized this parliament because it passed the Elections Act, which allowed former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to become the president.
To retain his...
But to stop that, what did he do? PMLN did not have the majority in the Senate.
Right.
And, PTI had members in the Senate, but the PTI members, they abstained from the vote. They were, they absconded. They were not present on that particular day. So what kind of control does he exert over his own parliamentarians, over his own members?
And
that is
indeed,
also huge.
you know, most of those members, whether they even agree with his politics of defaming the parliament, you know, saying, because of certainly they are themselves very much a part of that process.
Exactly.
I mean, and a lot of these people, let me come back to you, I want to go on to Zahid Saab also. Zahid Saab, you know, where a lot of these people, if we talk about Shah Mahmood Qureshi, we talk about, you know, all of his members, we talk about earlier Jahangir Tareen, for example, all of these people are very much a part of the political process as it has gone on in, you know, along the years, whether they've been part of PTI or the other parties, you know. If we look at that, and a lot of other very important names, you know, very important, integral to PTI. So they're very much a part of this political process. So like Danish is saying, you know, it's not uncanny for us to say that they wouldn't agree to this kind of, you know, politics, defaming the parliament as an institution, I'm saying.
I think it's, MAHRUKH, it's not new. PTI has been doing that, particularly Imran Khan. If you just look at his track record during the last 21 months, he spent only 3 hours in the parliament, and fortunately he spent 94 long hours in Supreme Court of Pakistan in Panama case, if you remember.
Right.
But putting this thing aside, abusing, cursing the parliament, the most powerful institution which otherwise empower the representative of public, the electable, holding public office. This is very important thing, that the point he made, absolutely, that a parliament voted for the former prime minister to become party leader, I mean endorsed the law that he said, that's why he cursed the parliament. But most important thing, look at this, that in Senate of Pakistan, if PTI vote against this move,
like
and their members of the parliament were over there, right, and Imran Khan also tweeted, I can recall it, that he be just probing that who was not over there, that why did they not vote to block this move by the ruling party.
Right.
But the most important thing is it's a trend. I understand that as a leading opposition political party, Imran Khan knows that he should play all the cards right now, because 5 months to go, we already are in election months, and he wants to mobilize people by hook and crook, I am telling you, because that's why he did so.
But that's what kind of a crook or hook, what kind of a politics is this, what kind of a strategy is this, if indeed there is a strategy behind it, what does it hope to achieve?
Actually, abusing language, abusing people, the slang language against each other by the politician, it's a new dynamics in Pakistan politics, which is very, very bad, by the way. But look at, I think Bilawal played very sincere, I think used sincere words. Still he has a long way to go. I understand that the Pakistan Party is struggling,
you know,
at some extent responsible, showing responsibility that how could be a national leader, particularly choose of word, should be very careful about this. But Imran Khan, you know that after 2014 Dharna, he has been using such sort of language. Particularly he endorsed Sheikh Rashid in this dilemma yesterday. But important thing is the model town tragedy is a very genuine sort of tragedy for the whole nation, and everybody is asking for the justice. But unfortunately, my point is that maybe my colleagues endorsing me at this point, that it was a noble cause and it should be dealt genuinely by Tahirul Qadri, because, but I think he somehow politicized this matter. The case is going on. First he said that I don't accept this commission, he rejected it, and after that he endorsed it. He said that the report should be made public. He went to the court, report made public, and now the case is in final stage. I know that it has been 44 long months. The families are still still just waiting for the justice. Justice delayed is denied, I know, but
the way it's been played out, let me come back to you, Liaquat Saab, you know, the way it's been played out, like, I mean, even if we agree with, and I mean, I'm sure all of us agree, whatever happened in the Model Town incident, and whoever is responsible should be brought to justice. There's no doubt about that. But the way it's been played out, like Zahid Saab is saying, you know, it's been politicized, or the way it's just been generally a botched attempt. I mean, you know, the way that it's been played, the way that it's been, you know, strategized, sorry, the way that it's been planned. Do you think that there's any chance of it achieving what it set out to do, if that really was the reason why there was this alliance made?
Well, MAHRUKH, let me comment on my two friends, my two colleagues commented on the attack on Parliament. It's very unfortunate that major political parties of Pakistan and senior leadership, they have been attacking the supreme institutions of Pakistan.
Right.
Nawaz Sharif of last 6 months have been constantly attacking Supreme Court of Pakistan, while Imran Khan for last 3 years almost has been attacking the Parliament of Pakistan. In 97, PMLN attacked physically Supreme Court of Pakistan, while in 2014, the workers of PTI,
right,
they almost attacked Parliament of Pakistan. This is very unfortunate. And we can sense the, you know, the frustration. Imran Khan boycotted the 2008 elections because he was not in that position to achieve his goal, and he was disappointed and boycotted the parliament. And this is something coming from 2008, that Imran Khan is, you know, disappointed with this parliamentary system and with this electoral system, and he thinks he cannot achieve his goal through this parliamentary process or this first past the post electoral system. While same time we see that Supreme Court is under attack because Nawaz Sharif were disqualified from that very institution. So come to your
so you agree then that, you know, I mean, in a sense the statement, I mean, of course not with the words, but the sentiments of Imran Khan when he talks about the parliament as an institution, you know, not quite able to function the way it should, and you know, the way, like, and you know, we've seen disrespect, like you said, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. We've seen that also. We've seen the disrespect coming from PTI as far as the, you know, the parliament is concerned. So do you think that in a sense he's right then?
Well, partially he's right, but I condemn his disrespect and his remarks regarding cursing the parliament. Even he did, or Sheikh Rashid. We cannot, because parliament is the supreme institution of Pakistan. The entire public of the Pakistan, they, you know, voted for their representatives, and their representatives sitting here, they're representing entire population of Pakistan.
So in a sense he's criticizing the people of Pakistan.
Yes,
mandate, of course.
this is the curse indirectly. I've been cursed. We all have been cursed. We have all been cursed, and we condemn it collectively. So, and it shows not only frustration, but the level of morality Imran Khan holds. If you want to be a senior leader, if you want to be emancipator,
the of his politics.
Yes, but this, look, this is not, if he wants to be emancipator, if he wants to be a reformer of the system, so this is not the language. Any reformer in history, not in Pakistan, in any country of the world, no reformer, no serious leader, no intellectual has been resorted to this kind of language. If you want to be a leader, you should have a vision. You should, you know, inspire the people. You should not curse the institutions. So, and I don't think, I don't understand the frustration which is emanating from Imran Khan. In last election, he was the second largest party in terms of votes. So he should, you know, make a good guideline, good plan, and go to the people. He can win the elections. But
do you agree with Danish when he says that, you know, it has to do with his you know, impending, he thinks, his impending failure in the forthcoming elections? He perceives that?
No, I don't think that he has pursued, because he's overconfident now. He has been demanding earlier elections because he thinks that he's the only party, is well prepared, and in this time he can, you know, he can win the elections, and the tide is in his support, particular after the disqualification of Nawaz Sharif. He considers himself the largest and the most respected leader of the Pakistan. And after 15 December verdict of the Supreme Court, in which he has become Sadiq and Amin, according to that judgment, so he considers himself overconfident. And this is something coming as overconfident. But what happened particularly yesterday is right-hand friend, Mr. Sheikh Rashid, without the consent of Imran Khan, abruptly he announced his resignation. He cursed the parliament. So Imran Khan had to favor him and capture the focus of the people. That is also one of the same person who is disappointed from the very parliament, from the very parliamentarian. But he never indicated that he is disappointed from the next election or the next parliament.
No, but Liaqat, when we talk about his failure, his disappointment with the parliament, he could have said he's disappointed with, he continuously, obviously he's been saying with the PMLN, with the PPP, with any other party, but to continually say that he's disappointed with the House, which is comprises of his own party members also.
Well, in the 2014, he also repeated same kind of remarks. But if he was, and he resigned, if he resigned from the parliament with his members, why did he again went to the parliament? And if he was disappointed from the system, so he had good opportunity, and also he announced the disobedience movement in Pakistan. So it means that he had cut off his whole entire relationship with the parliamentarian system. But again, he embarked on a new campaign to mobilize the people in his favor. Why did he again participated in by-elections, in number of by-elections? So I don't think he's disappointed from the future, but Imran Khan sometime is unplanned. Look at their yesterday's gathering, that the gathering was split in 2 sessions, and they did not come out with a unified charter of demands. I don't know what were the cause, why they gathered the people, and where is the charter demand, what did they want. Still, I think they are confused. Sheikh Rashid himself, he came and announced his resignation without consenting Imran Khan, and Imran Khan said, I support. I can think, and today when he announced that he is going to conduct a press conference and there would be a very bombastic news, so people were thinking that maybe he's going to announce his resignation from parliament, but that did not happen. So I think there is a level of confusion in PTI, in their policymakers, and also we can sense that confusion among this opposition
and a general
organization.
confusion among all these political alliance of sorts.
There is a confusion. I think it would take some time to get maturity, but at least they should be clear on their agenda. And the agenda which I sense, seemingly it is the agenda that model towns, the people were killed there, and that was unfortunate incident, and they should, the culprit should be brought into the justice.
Everybody agrees with that.
I think the main pressure they are going to build is to repeat the Balochistan Assembly, what happened to Balochistan government, same kind of suit they want in Punjab Assembly, in a National Assembly, and they're pressurizing to split the PML, and they're hoping for that kind of outcome, which I can sense. Otherwise, if they want it, they are demanding for new elections, only 120 days or 130 days are left. This is the election period. Same time,
but the landmark of the Senate elections is another issue.
Well, I think if any party, any of them, if they are going to dissolve any assembly and they are impeding the Senate elections, I think it will be the curse of the history of political history of Pakistan, I don't think People's Party is going to dissolve his assembly. And I don't think Imran Khan is going to lose his 7 or 8 senators, which he can hope from KPK assembly. Right. Senate is a permanent institution. If they miss the train, then they have to wait for one year. So I don't think they are going to do such kind of misadventure. All the pressure is to try to pressurize the Punjab Assembly and National Assembly and seeking some sort of forward block or something like that.
Right, let me come back to you. Danish, do you agree? I mean, certainly, keeping aside the overt agenda, the Model Town incident, the underhand agenda, like, Liaquat Saab is also saying, seems to be to pressurize the government. That's quite clear. But to pressurize them for what? They can't, early elections doesn't seem to be that much of an option anymore. On the one hand, there could be, like Liaquat Saab is saying, a plan to repeat whatever happened in Balochistan. And on the other hand, to make a forward lock. Which one do you agree with those purpose? Is that the purpose of this alliance?
I think we should see what happens in our history, in our 50, 67 years of history. This script is repeated again and again, over and over again, after every 10 or 15 years. Whenever democracy is about to, strengthen its roots, it's growing stronger. Someone or some party, which is, normally it is pro-establishment party, it says that accountability should come first and elections should come afterwards. Right. And this same script is being repeated. And we know that PMLQ in the past, it was the King's Party, and how members of PMLN, they were broken from the party and they were converted into PMLQ members. And now presently, if you see that Sheikh Rashid, who is the guiding force behind what Imran Khan has been doing, he also has very close links with the establishment. And he also believes that it is not possible to control power, to remove PMLN out of power, to remove it from the Punjab, which is, the strong the heart of PMLN's power base. They don't think it is possible to do that in elections. So they are saying that, some other process should come by, some other system should come into place. This democracy has failed us. The parliament, which is a creation of the Constitution of Pakistan, and which is, as sacred as the judiciary is. I have immense respect for the judiciary.
So if then the parliament, which is a creation of the Constitution of Pakistan, is not sacred, it's not, it's not functioning, it comprises of individuals who are no good, among other things that were being said, then in a sense, the Constitution of the country is perhaps, not important, and perhaps, maybe that is the next step.
Well, I think if there is any problem that you have with any institution, you should come out with reforms. You should suggest, what should be the better mode of functioning of these institutions. Or if you propose that, if we have to move away from the Westminster model, if we have to go towards the US, where there is a presidential form of government, then you have to make it imperative that you make it crystal clear to the people of Pakistan that this is what you want to achieve.
But on one hand, you're saying, we debate this form of politics every 10 to 15 years, We go back and we rethink it. We go back and think whether the presidential form is better, whether the parliamentary form. And then after, whatever happens, we come back to the parliamentary process. So this is a recurring phenomena, like you yourself were saying.
Exactly. It's an endless time loop that we are stuck in. And unfortunately, we don't have great memory. We don't think what happened in the past. We don't see that when we bypass the parliament, when we move towards a different form of government, what happened in that case. We lost a half of Pakistan because of this thing, that parliament, we did not give credence and, support to what the people voted for. And even at that point in time, what we were saying was that the parliament should not convene unless there is a consensus on some basic issues, which was not the mandate of the constitution, which was not a requirement of the constitution. And we saw that the Pakistan was broken into two parts. And this is also one reason why former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is saying that what happened to Sheikh Mujib, it shouldn't happen. So this is one thing which is, if he is saying this, then certainly he has reports, he has intelligence on this matter, that there are forces which are still trying to, impose their own form of government, their own form of rule, and they want to discredit all politicians, they want to discredit the parliament, and this is not something which will be taking us into the 21st century as a modern state, but it will be putting us back to the dark ages where we have suffered and where,
Right. But let me go on to Zaid Sahab. Zaid Sahab, you know, this whole, like Danish Sahab is saying, discrediting politicians, you know, as an institution, discrediting politicians, the parliament. Do you think that there is that it is indeed true, like Danish is saying, that the former Prime Minister has reports that it is part of you know, a trend, part of a plan to sabotage the political process? Do you think that's true, considering the fact that, you know, from all of this, from whatever the alliance was, from all of you know, this debacle that happened yesterday, what it shows, day before yesterday, what it shows really is you know, it doesn't really you know, throw the politicians of this country, the parliamentary process in a very good light. I mean, there's no denying that. You know, we have all these politicians, we have this kind of language coming out. Yes, we have Bilawal Bhutto, we have the PPP saying that it doesn't agree with this. But overall, you know, if you look at whatever has happened, if you look at the way that, you know, an agenda like the overt agenda of something that's very important when we look at the Model Town incident has been thrown you know, under the table, so to speak, in the face of this kind of flagrant abusive language, this kind of irresponsible talk. It does seem to credit that kind of, you know, it seems to discredit politicians. Do you think that is true?
Look, MAHRUKH, actually I don't want to go to an individual. Pakistan as a state, I understand that the former Prime Minister has been ruling this country
right,
at least 3 times, and then the former President Asif Ali Zardari also. They of course know the reality, what's happening and what has been happening with Pakistan. And also it's true that look at the region, and particularly the first tweet by the American president about Pakistan, the regional situation, international pressure on this state, and political instability and the war on terror, many issues on one front, and otherwise look at China, our very good friend, and pressure from east and west, both borders, and situation with even Iran is not good. So I understand that he must be knowing all these factors, and it also showed its impact on the country.
Any truth to this?
I don't know exactly what the information exactly he had. Either he can understand well, and the time may tell us, but I can sense as a journalist that at least Pakistan cannot afford it. I just want to quote 3 instances here, 3 examples that how can Pakistan not afford it. The one front is that Pakistan, good neighbor China, does not want it that Pakistan be facing political instability,
right,
or the premature election in Pakistan. You know that we just have 5 months to go, and the real battle I can see as a journalist is the first battle is Senate election in Pakistan, and I know that by end of this month, Election Commission of Pakistan is going to announce the schedule maybe.
right.
And the second thing is early election is under the law not possible in Pakistan. Delimitation process is taking time under the new census and under the new laws, and it's next to impossible. If the politician, I understand that political parties also know that very well, but they are just piling up the pressure on the government.
Today, let's look at the political situation today. You know, if according to, like you're saying, if early election doesn't seem to be an option, if we look at the Senate elections, if they go on as planned, how do you see the political you know, graph coming, you know, as far as the PPP is concerned, as far as the PMLN is concerned? If the Senate election goes, certainly that will benefit the PMLN. And then the forthcoming elections, what do you see?
MAHRUKH, things are very much clear. I also have been debating this issue on this forum, and we predicted a lot of things.
Right.
I see timely election. I don't see any difficulty. Yes, I know that political parties will pile up pressure and will continue. It's the only option. But so far, things on the ground, I can see that the real battle would be happening between PTI and PMLN. And about PPP, it still has a long way to go, by the way.
But even with the PPP, forget the PPP for 1 second. I mean, you know, let's agree that
Let try me to just, you want a comparison between PTI and PMLN, right?
How do you see, I mean, if the Senate elections go on as planned,
yeah.
we are seeing the accountability process, going through. We're seeing the former Prime Minister, his family going through that process. On the other hand, we see the impending elections. What do you think?
I think, MAHRUKH, in last 4 years, Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz done at some extent very good job.
Mind you, we haven't seen any kind of fragmentation that was expected within the PMLN, even with all of this.
I understand, that's why I'm coming to you, because in March, we don't know that what would be the judgment and order by the accountability courts. But one thing is just for Shehbaz Sharif, things are paving the way for him as a dominating candidate for Prime Minister, and the 3-4 mega projects in the country visible in different big cities like Lahore, Multan, and the Pindi, then in Faisalabad. And look at the power crisis. There was power crisis in the country. It's almost over. I hope so that maybe it may take 1.5 years, but,
but there is
the situation is better.
Right.
The other thing is CPAC project is also a bright example, of course, a game changer. And other most important thing, which I can see that could easily be a good sporting point for Shehbaz Sharif for the dominating seat in this country is he enjoys good relationship with China and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Turkey, 3 most important countries, always been a very good sporting countries for the country like Pakistan, and playing very vital role in economically, and other regional crisis Pakistan has been facing. These countries always supported Pakistan, they stand by it. And this is an additional point for the profile of Chief Minister Shehbaz Sharif for the dominating candidate. I don't know, yes, the point you...
but whether it's Nawaz Sharif, the former Prime Minister, which doesn't seem likely considering, the decision against him, but whoever it is from the PMLN, whether it's Shehbaz Sharif or anybody else leading the party, when we look at PMLN as a whole, it's certainly clear that it is still going to be, as of today, one of the major parties to come out in the next elections, with the PTI.
Just let me to complete my argument. PTI is still here. I can see that in South Punjab, at least 17 districts of Punjab, very important, PTI got 13 to 14 electable heavyweights lost by PPP to PTI. It be giving a testing time to Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz in Punjab. And then the KPK in some field like education sector, health sectors, in policing, they did well, PTI, at some extent. But one thing is very important, we should not forget that Pakistani people want to show something on the ground, big projects like metro, motorways.
But what about
PTI could not lift that.
What about the judgment for Imran Khan? I mean, certainly that is something that he wants people to respect.
I can say, as my friend said, that he seemed to be a very over-ambitious like that he is just a certified Sadiq and Amin of this country. But yes, he lost also very right hand, like in shape of Jahangir Tareen.
Right.
It's a very key member of the party.
Right pocket.
And I understand that it was sort of win-win situation. I mean, in the second judgment. But testing time, PMLN could see within the party. Maybe people generally have perception that some people are not happy. There are 2 groups in the party. We don't know, but it seemed to be a success for PMLN, and particularly for Nawaz Sharif to keep the party intact after damning order by the Supreme Court, where he cost his job as a Prime Minister.
Let me go on to Liaquat Saab. Certainly it's true. Whatever we may say about the PMLN, whatever we may say about the former Prime Minister, they have gone through a testing time. He has But even through all of that, we haven't seen any of the members, we haven't seen any, fragmentation in the political party. We've seen them handle this in the best possible way. So that itself does show maturity, that itself shows a political structure within the party, which perhaps we have not seen in the PTI. Do you agree?
Well, Mahrukh, to a certain extent, I agree with you. Particular, the PMLN government and parliament, they survived the 2014 Dharna, 125 days. And that was the, the main battle between the people they were sitting in Dharna and the parliamentarians and political parties in parliament.
Right.
And also, they absorbed few other shocks during this time. But for last 1 year, if you observe this situation, PMLN has been losing the political ground. They lost, their minister and Pervez Rashid, he resigned. Nawaz Sharif was disqualified on 28th July. Ishaq Dar has been resigned. Zaid Hamid has resigned. They have lost their important government in Balochistan. So they have been losing. And now I think the elections are becoming closer. And the history of Pakistan, if you look at the history, when the elections arrive closer, the backbenchers, the disappointed parliamentarians, the ones they are aggrieved, and particular, the people look at the tide of the future, which party is coming in future. So the old friends, they change their loyalties. And
but Liaquat Saab, the kind of predictions that there were, just to clarify, with hordes and hordes joining the PTI, to be honest, we haven't seen that.
We haven't seen that, but
yet.
we can see, yes, this is the important, word. Yet we haven't seen, but we have seen the debacle of Balochistan government. Look what happened only in 2 weeks. They have lost their entire party, their government, in only 2 weeks. So this kind of suit is not possible in that promptly in Punjab Assembly or National Assembly, but at least we can feel the aftershocks. What happened in Balochistan, the tremors, we can feel this time. And particularly before March, these 1.5 months up to the Senate elections are very important, very critical. And look at the opposition for last 4.5 years, they were not together. They never joined. Even Dharna 2014, there were 2 containers. But all opposition parties, opposition leaders, at least they came and joined yesterday that rally, and they were sitting on one stage, right, even though in 2 sessions. But tomorrow they will be sitting together and there will be one session. The pressure is mounting. And if we talk about the mega projects, metro, right, look, Chaudhry Pervez Ilai, even he also very focused on central Punjab. But when the tide in 2013 election came, that was against the government, that tide, and the opposition benefited. What happened with the Raja Pervez Ashraf? He was a prime minister and he focused on one constituency and invested billions of rupees of the government and brought number of mega projects, right, to his constituency. What happened? The tide that came, that was against the People's Party, and he lost even his own constituency. Right. So we cannot gauge, these things. And next 1.5 months are very important. I can feel tremors in assemblies. I can feel that number of backbenchers, aggrieved members, they have lost their interest with the provincial government, with the federal government. And what happened in Balochistan, that's a main indication. That's a precedent, and a number of people looking to that saga. And what happened to Jati Umrah today? That Nawaz Sharif, he called the important leadership of Balochistan, opposition parties, and he was, right, discussing that he's afraid that that kind of misadventure or adventure can happen in future. How to prevent? Now he's trying to prevent any such kind of suit in future. So this is the seriousness of that incident, and I think 1.5 months are very important.
Right.
Number of members, they can change their loyalties, and it happened in past, it can happen now, that fragmentation,
we don't know.
which yet we cannot see.
Right, let me go on to-
And you know, last point, that what happened in Balochistan, nobody was seeing what happened. That abrupted,
of course.
and so can happen here.
Right, of course, that is true. But Barrister Saab, you know, considering, do you think that in that sense, like you know, Liaquat Saab is saying, in that sense, to build momentum, to come out against the you know, come out against PMLN, against the government, do you think that in that sense it has been a success, this opposition alliance?
No, I don't think so. To the contrary, you know, the opposition has been exposed, because as they were doing this get-together, you know, at one place, none of them could show great street power, and we saw there were empty seats. I mean, everybody saw them.
Don't you think, in a sense, it actually reflects better on the PMLN right now?
It
you know,
does,
if
it
you
does,
look at the way that it was, you know, it played out.
Whenever the opposition is weak and, you know, opposition cannot draw large crowds, you know, it always shows support for the government.
Right.
And I think the government was exposed, the opposition was exposed over there. Regardless of the fact that it wasn't their rally, it was, you know, they were saying Tyrul Qadri's cause is just and all that, but still you have to have some people, you know, to show that the people can see that people are supporting you. And regarding what has been discussed about Balochistan government, even though it is a very huge setback for the PMLN, but Balochistan politics is completely different to the rest of the Pakistan politics. We must understand that. Right. The constituencies they have, the kind of elections they have, the tribes they have, we can't say that this is going to have a result or an effect on the Punjab elections. And if we have to go by history, if we have to see what has happened in history, unless the Sharif brothers are in exile, they always win. They're always winners. And this is true. I mean, if you see, they've been winning it for the last 30, 35 years. They've been in power over here. And I don't think it's going to be an easy task dislodging them. Even though they've lost ministers, they have lost people who had to resign.
Right.
But that has not, you know, I don't think that was a huge setback. Yes, 28th of July, Nawaz Sharif was disqualified. That was a huge setback.
Right.
But it has yet to be seen whether his narrative or his, you know, counter-narrative about how he was targeted and all that, whether that has been accepted by the people or whether, you know, the party will suffer irrecoverable losses.
I'm running out of time, but I want to take Liaquat Saab's opinion on this because he's been shaking his head.
Yeah, well, in 96 elections, PMLN came with 2/3 majority. But in next election, very next election, in 2002, they just won 18 seats.
He was away. He was in exile. That's what I was
Yes,
saying.
he was in exile, but his party was intact.
According to Danish, he's saying that if they are in the country, the Sharif brothers are
but
essentially undefeatable.
But himself is not in parliament, and his cases are in NAB now.
Right,
on 5th March, there is
certain.
Senate. On 8th March, I think there will be verdict of NAB.
Right, right.
The time is important.
That is true. Certainly, that accountability process is going on, and they are facing the courts. I mean, that there are two ways of looking at it. Is that something you agree?
But I think I understand, but it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen in Pakistan. But things on the ground, we are seeing that the party looks dominating.
I mean, they're not as they don't seem to be as unstable.
One thing is pretty sure that PTI be giving testing time to PMLN. I don't think so that they be sitting down and they again come out mobilizing people. And
I mean, PTI does.
It's good for democracy, by the way, if something not happening unconstitutional in Pakistan.
Right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, Barrister Danish. Thank you for being with us, Zahid Kashkori Saab. Thank you for joining us, Liaquat Chawani Saab. As far as the politics of Pakistan is concerned, it remains to be seen if the effects of whatever has happened as far as disqualification of the former Prime Minister is concerned, the accountability process is concerned. After that, you know, certain events after are concerned, what effects they have in the future elections. But as far as today, it seems that the Senate elections might go through, that the former, you know, the upcoming general elections might go along as planned. But one thing is certain, when we talk about institutions, we talk about the political process. Parliament is an essential institution of democracy, without which democracy can't function. So discrediting Parliament, whether it is by one political party or the other political party, it is essentially discrediting all political parties, all politicians, and certainly that it itself shows the kind of maturity that is needed within our politicians, the kind of faith that is needed within them for the institutions that they represent, that they are themselves very much a part of. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective. There was a conspiracy, then certainly it remains to be seen to what degree it has been successful and to what degree the government, the PMLN has been successful in managing to evade it and reaching their goal of the forthcoming Senate elections. Let's hope that there is continuity in the political process. Let's hope that there is democracy continues to flourish not only in the other provinces but also in Balochistan, and the continuation of the political process is seen the way it should be seen. It will be independent and it will be conclusive. Let's hope that we will see all of that, but it remains to be seen. Like it is said, maybe in the course of another 2 weeks or fortnight. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.